too dark?
No, it looks really good. You have like darker eyes and darker features, so I think that you can pull that off.
Thank you. Yeah, because some people are like, "Oh, it's too dark. Like you look like you're from the '80s." I'm like,
No way. Ew, 80s was like pale pink and blue eyeshadow, dude.
I know, but even so, like, what's wrong with being '80s? Like, I'd
Yeah,
rather be in the '80s.
except for that Aquanet hairspray, which made everyone bald, but we could leave that in the 80s. That can go.
But
People still,
we can keep the music. We can keep the movies.
yeah, we can keep the movies and the music, but the hairspray has to go. People like, there's probably a class action lawsuit about people personally victimized by that hairspray.
Honestly, it's probably like they got cancer and stuff. Like, think
Oh
about it,
no,
you're in
100.
your room.
My grandmother was using that Aquanet shit till she died. She lived to be like 97, but still.
Never mind. Maybe it has like life preserving
Yeah.
chemicals.
Yeah, there's embalming fluid in it.
Dude, I'm on my second coffee. I want it to be alert.
Same. Alert.
Cheers.
What kind of coffee is it?
Um, Let me think.
Good name.
I made it at home. It's like a ground coffee from Starbucks.
Nice.
It was like the Christmas blend.
Oh, yum.
Yeah, so I'm doing that, and then I couldn't find any creamer, so I threw in like Chris was buying these like Nesquik milk things.
Mm-hmm.
So I just put that. I
Oh,
know it's not good for you, but I just like whatever.
was it like chocolate?
Vanilla.
Oh, yum. I've never seen that.
Yeah. It's one of those high protein ones,
Oh, okay.
but anyways,
Yeah.
so life has been happening.
Yes.
So right now for us, like, so Bree, my stepdaughter, she's
Mhm.
turning 8 on Sunday. We're
Wow.
redoing her room, like bright pink.
It's like inner child healing vibes.
I
Like,
know.
actually, like being able to like have a vision come to life for like that somebody wants, even if it's not yours, but like it's making her so happy. So that's awesome.
I know. And it's funny you said inner healing vibes, like inner child,
Hmm.
because sometimes when she's not here and she's with her mom, Chris and I just end up sitting in her room and we just feel so like at peace.
Yeah, I can see that. Because kids' energy is so like pure and innocent. Like for the most part, I guess there's some of those like kill your parents kids on like TLC shit, but like for the most part, like across the board, kids are really just like innocent and pure, and like that's like probably the purest form of love is like love from kids too. So
Definitely. Yeah. And another thing, I think on Monday, Chris is finally going for his CAT scan to see if the cancer's gone.
just to know too is just like even if everything's not like in the clear, at least to know is a lot less
Yeah.
nerve wracking, and then just to be able to like approach the next step with whatever. But hopefully everything's like good.
Yeah, everyone's like, "Oh, well, like what's your feeling about it?" And I'm like, I don't really want to know. I don't really want to tap in. I mean, he's gotten better in some ways,
Hmm.
but now he's got these other symptoms which could be like permanent damage from like the radiation
Oh yeah.
and yeah,
Oh, it
so it's kind of
is.
like
Yeah. As helpful as it can be, it's the chemical itself is like it's killing all cells too.
yeah.
So it's not just bad cells. So it's definitely you definitely get side effects just from that alone.
I know. They say that you heal once from whatever you were sick with and then you heal again from whatever the treatment was.
Oh, definitely, 100%.
Yeah.
I know,
But
like the water or like some stuff that they use in the chemo centers. There's like a lot of controversy with how they dispose of water and like the treatments that they use. It's weird
Mhm.
because of the radiation. Like,
That does make sense. Like, where does it go?
yeah, it is like a biohazard. So I don't. There's like controversy like surrounding it that they just like put it back into the system, and then we're all kind of like showering and drinking and bathing in chemo water and stuff.
Great.
Onto the list of other stuff that we're bathing in and drinking.
But anyway, so I had you on because I wanted to talk about the spring equinox, which is on the 20th. So it's like the first day of spring. It's also called like Ostara. So like what is Ostara?
Okay, so luckily I put some notes so I don't go too off base here because I tend to ramble. Basically, essentially, Ostara is the first. It's not the first festival of spring in the pagan calendar or whatever. It's the second. The first one is Imbolc, which is like the first stirrings, which is around February 1st, February 2nd. That's when we have Groundhog Day.
Mhm.
coincidentally. Basically what that is, that's the earth like waking up, like thawing out, but not awake yet. Ostara is basically the Germanic festival of the like actual beginning of spring, real spring. And in I think it was I'm pretty sure it's Germanic. So in Anglo-Saxon time, they would refer to the month of April as Ostermond, meaning like Easter month or Estarmond, which is like just shows how kind of off base our calendar is. Because if we're celebrating these things on like March 21st or 20th, um, it's got to be like a little bit off. But technically, that was Ostermond or Easter, and that comes from it predates Christianity. It's like Germanic paganism in Europe, Northern Europe, and then like Central Europe, like Britain, Wales. Um, and let me see here. So it's
And
basically
I
a
even
with
and not
begin.
to cut you off, but like I even feel like with Native American culture, even though obviously I don't know a lot about it,
Mhm.
I feel like they probably have their own thing too, especially since they were so nature based. I'm sure that they had their own kind of
Yeah, everyone.
Ostara.
No, everyone does. I don't know what it's called in like the Northern African Arabic region, but they have something as well. Like when you notice all of our either Islamic or Catholic or Jewish holidays line up with these things as well. Um, Not only because of like the Christianization or Islamization or whatever had gone on afterwards, but just like the themes that you see. Like right now we're in Lent, but we're also in Ramadan.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? So and then we'll be in Passover and we'll have Easter, the resurrection. So it just shows like how you couldn't get rid of the way that people celebrated things, even with change in religion, because if it's nature based, like they usually are, you're still going to have the same symbolism. Like, for example, when you think of Christian Easter or Jesus, what would that have to do with the Easter bunny or an egg? Or it makes absolutely no sense. When you see where it comes from, it makes sense. The whole sign of fertility would be an egg. Hares procreate in the spring and they have tons of offspring. And that association, specifically in Ostara or Easter, it comes from a goddess named Oster, which is basically spelled almost like Easter but with an O.
Hmm.
And she's the goddess that brings the light, the goddess of spring. And then there's also some other like Germanic folklore, which has to do with a hare, which is obviously a rabbit of some kind.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe we should say rabbit just so
Yeah,
everyone is on the same
yeah.
page.
But they, from what like the text, it would say like a hare. But basically, one of the stories is they're all about fertility, which is that this is the time when everything's fertile. The earth's fertile, animals are fertile, they're procreating, things are in heat, whatever. The little folklore behind that is that the Hare King fell in love with the goddess Easter or Ostara, and she found a dying bird in the snow. To save it, she brought the bird back to life as a white hare. However, to honor the bird's original form, Ostara gave the hare the power to lay eggs once a year. So it's a rabbit that's laying eggs, essentially. Yeah. And then they would, you would get present an egg as a gift to somebody during this festival season. And eggs, if you think about how scarce resources were back in the day, to give somebody an egg is a pretty
Well, I
um,
guess even
yeah.
today, even
Oh, yeah.
today, giving it.
I know how the parallels like line it up. Like eggs are 9.99 a friggin' carton. Great.
I know, and it's funny too because you think about like with the seasons, spring, things are starting to grow, and then even it's the beginning. March 20th is the beginning of Aries season, which is
Mhm.
typically seen as the first like zodiac sign
Mhm.
in the wheel. And
Yep.
I love that more and more people lately are like, why do we celebrate a new year in the middle of winter? Like that's becoming a very like
Thanks.
common thought.
Thanks,
Thanks, Romans.
tax season. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, they changed the whole calendar. That's why, like, when they you say like Ostermond or Easter month, like it would technically be April, and almost all of April is Aries season. So,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like it stretches pretty much from the beginning to the end. So it makes sense. You're not, like what's fascinating about that is like you're never getting away from these like ancient situations that were going on. As much as we come into the time, we're still using Easter eggs. People are still eating chocolate bunnies
Mhm.
from something that like predates Christianity. Like that's crazy.
I know, I feel like it just kind of has lost its same meaning, like
100%.
but at the same time it hasn't. It's like consciously we've forgotten the meaning, but
Mm-hmm.
subconsciously, like we're still going through the same things. Like for instance, in winter, we talked about this in the last episode. Like people like resources are scarce. They're struggling because it's snowing. They can't, there's no like crops or whatever. And it's kind of the same thing, with us, but different. A lot of us are struggling financially because it's
Mm-hmm.
cold, things are slowing down. We bought so many presents for Christmas. So it's kind of like even though we've separated ourselves a lot from the ancient kind of beliefs, we're
Mm-hmm.
still in it.
Yeah, you can't get away from it because human beings are like creatures of like cycles. And because the seasons are like natural cycles that we have to go through every year, it just falls in line. Like
Yeah.
it just like you said, like those themes of scarcity, now themes of hope. The sun comes out and you feel like a little bit better. I mean, even though it's like a fact that vitamin D is a mood booster, but it's night and day, like when you wake up and you're like, wow, like I don't have to wear like 3 jackets and a fucking snowsuit
Yeah.
to go to the
Yeah.
store. Like it does, like you feel hopeful, and that's I think what spring really represents, metaphorically, is like the little buds like coming up, and you know what I mean, the little eggies hatching and stuff. So
Yeah, or even they do the whole like correlating the seasons with ages, like your age. So like your spring, you're a baby, you're growing up, you're in the summer, you're in the fall, then the winter would be end of life.
yeah,
And
and
it's like
that
when
that's true. Like in some pagan mythology, when you have they have what's called the Oak King, and he's like the representation of winter. And then every year he battles it out with his brother, who is why can't I remember what that is called? Oh no, the Holly King. I'm sorry, the Holly King is winter. The Oak King is the young male. So what happens is they fight it out, and every year the cycle reoccurs. And in this time, spring, the Oak King rises again and wins. So it's like the same thing. And then he like in that type of folklore, he consummates with the lady, and then we have spring and summer. So it's
and it
all
all makes
normal. Yeah,
sorry.
sense.
Yeah, it all makes sense. And I wish we did an episode back when it was in bulk, which is usually what, like February 2nd or 3rd.
Yeah, that's like Groundhog Day vibe.
Which also Groundhog's Day is the most random shit. Like we're gonna ask the groundhog what he
Well,
thinks.
no, I don't trust him.
He's a
I,
little shady character.
there's chemtrails. I don't know if he saw his shadow. I don't know if they're making him lie. We don't know.
That's
Is
true.
he chronic?
We need the answers of the
And
Puxatawny Phil conspiracy.
is this a lineage? Have we been using Phil's son? An episode on Phil. Who is he? Puxatawny Phil. Who is he?
Yeah. Is he a demon? Is he really even a groundhog? He's a witch. He's a witch. He tells the future. Burn him.
But like, is he being manipulated? Who's paying him?
Dude, this actually could be a conspiracy. Like, are they breeding all these groundhogs to do this? That's kind of messed up. Does he
What
get paid?
what happened to the old Phil?
Yeah, I know.
These
There's
are
only
these are existential crisis questions.
Is his name even Phil?
Oh, it's Philip. Who knows if he goes by Phil? We just don't know much about this poor guy being exploited.
But it is such a funny tradition, like the whole Groundhog's Day. But anyway,
That's
so in bulk, like what you were saying was kind of like things are starting to kind of
mhm.
thaw out, which I really like that. And then Valentine's Day, doesn't that kind of correlate with uh, what's it,
Lupus.
Capernalia?
Yeah,
What is
and then, like Lupercella. I never say it
yeah.
right. Another Roman holiday, same thing. And yeah, that is once again that's a fertile holiday, like about fertility, and that is consummating. So before things can be born in the spring, obviously you have to do the deed. So full of life.
It is funny how it happens too. And then even like, you hear people say like, oh, spring fever, people are, feeling the vibe.
Essentially, people are in heat.
Yeah. It's just really funny, like putting it all together. So how would you celebrate the spring equinox? Like if I wanted to honor spring or do things that match the holiday, like what do I
Mhm.
do?
So I actually have some notes I wrote on that.
Definitely the egg
But
thing.
yeah, most of them like involve obviously decorating eggs, Easter, but decorating the eggs, spending time in nature, which you would do to honor any nature-based festival, kind of going out, meditating in nature, observing animals, leaving offerings to animals. Don't give birds bread, please. They don't digest bread well, but if you give them some seeds, that's fine.
Mm.
People don't realize that's really bad for the birds.
That actually is a good point. I never actually thought about that.
I mean, I know it's like a nice thing where people think that they're like giving their stale bread to birds, but it really like is not good for their GI tracts, FYI. But anyway, so also you could make an altar and put like fresh flowers, honey. This is also a time where people in Celtic or Germanic folklore would honor fairies and gnomes or nissies or whatever you would refer them as, the little people of the forest, like forest spirits. You want to leave them gifts and trinkets, maybe something with silver or gold or again, honey. They like honey for some reason. You also don't want to upset the fae, so you definitely want to include them in something if you can. And then making candles, spending time with your friends, and then lighting. This isn't a fire festival, but because it has to do with light and awakening, like if you can light a bonfire, that's always a good thing to do. And then you can throw some herbs in your bonfire and have like maybe like a smoke cleansing.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Other
even
than
like
that,
little
like,
bunny decorations.
oh no, go ahead.
I was gonna say like little bunny decorations too.
Yeah, yeah, just kind of like exactly kind of what you would do, I guess, for Easter minus Jesus. You know what I mean? It's literally the same exact thing, like hay bales and friggin' like fresh flowers and Easter baskets and chicks and rabbits and flowers again, I guess. Mostly flowers, I would say. Tulips, spring flowers.
I would say it's also a good time to like set intentions, right?
Definitely. Because right now, like they just when they describe the thawing of the earth and then you describe the planting of seeds, that would be now. Because if you want to have a prosperous harvest come the end of summer, spring, regardless of like what it is, or even a personal harvest, like with yourself, you would start like sowing the seeds now. This would be the time where you're making plans. But it's also a reminder, this time of year is also a reminder too, though, that sometimes you plant things and they don't grow. So it's also a reminder to like you sow the seeds you can, and however things pan out is how they pan out. Because sometimes people put a lot of pressure on themselves. Like even you see it with the like New Year's resolution thing, and it actually backfires. So I'd say like taking the time to set intentions, but knowing that like maybe not that you're not gonna have any follow through, but knowing that like maybe not every little seed that you sow will come to fruition.
Yeah.
As I mean, that's an important thing. I think people sometimes get like hard on themselves, and if they can't accomplish one thing, they kind of like feel like a failure, and they don't allow themselves to like make mistakes and keep going. But like once again, nature teaches us that sometimes things work out, sometimes they don't. Preparedness is your friend, though.
Yeah. I
Prepare-
think also just like without putting pressure like what you were saying, but also even like kind of allowing cuz you could be surprised. Like let's say you plant something in the ground and then you walk away, give it time and you come back and it grew even more than you had
Yeah, you will
expected.
to bloom without like overwatering them or obsessing over them, or you know what I mean. Like it is a good analogy, plants with ourselves, because we're basically just like little plants.
Good point. And we're also filming this during an eclipse. Technically full moon, right? And Mercury retrograde just started, Venus
Worm,
retrograde.
everything is
Worm moon, yeah.
the worm. The worm moon just means like that the worms are stirring underneath the earth. It's warm enough for them to like wake up out of their little slumber, which is I guess a good analogy for us as well. But yeah, I don't know that. How are you feeling with this moon energy eclipse?
I feel good. I
Mhm,
feel like last night it really started to kind of hit me. I was feeling kind of just like tired. I was feeling like a lot of kind of like pressure, if that makes sense, like physical pressure.
mhm,
But I did take time to think about the things I want to like release,
mhm.
but also replace. And that's something that I've been talking
Yeah,
about a lot.
your
Yeah.
video.
Yeah, because I feel like everyone's like, "Oh, I need to let go this problem, let go." But then you let it go, then what's there?
Hmm.
You know?
Yeah,
So
you
for
leave
me
space.
go ahead, what?
There's an empty space, so you have to, like you said, you have to see, like, refill it with something else.
Yeah.
Of
'Cause I think, like, kinda what you were talking about, like, planting a seed and putting too much
mhm,
pressure on it, I've found myself doing that a lot lately,
mhm,
just because I do work for myself, so it's like everything I do, it's on me, like, it's my
mhm,
responsibility, and so I've noticed that the past several, like, full moons or eclipses, I'm focusing so much on my clients and doing things for them, and I haven't really been doing that much for myself, and I'm like, "You know what? I have so much personal power, I have so much that I know that I can do for myself. Maybe I should do that for me and then, give from the extra, you
yeah,
know?
you can't pour from an empty cup. We all know that. Thanks, Ace of Cups. But no, really, like you can't. You just can't. Like you're not when you're not really a good version of yourself. You're not really good for anyone. And even the acts that you do for people, you like end up resenting them, not like consciously, maybe even, but it's just like when you're not taking care of you, you cannot be the best version in the world as yourself.
Yeah, and especially like this
Opposite of what we're like kind of taught. You're kind of taught to just be like selfless or people are selfish. It's hard to find like that balance for most people.
yeah. And not to bring gender into it, but I think most of the time women are told to be selfless, especially since we're the mothers, right?
Hmm.
Like give, 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 take care of the
Oh,
kids first, kids first. It's not kids first, okay, honey? If I'm in a bad spot, the kids are screwed.
no, and that's true. And that's like the distorted side of femininity because from like if you're in your actual healthy feminine energy, which it's really hard for most women to be in that because we do live in a world where most of us have to like do things we don't necessarily want to do or like you're not able to just frolic in the field like you're intended like God intended, you know what I mean? So I think it's true, like, and a distorted view of femininity is like the negative side of giving yourself up, but that shouldn't be it. Like it should be you're so like focused on living your happy, slow, amazing life that you're able to be this soft, loving person that can nurture kids and like, you know what I mean, nurture your partner. But it that I agree with you on that. Like the what's presented in the world is like this either completely selfless or selfish, like that girl boss energy vibe, or like the like mother of 300 that like you know what I mean. You're like a puppy with like 30 dogs on your tit, and like you can't get a minute to breathe. So
Yeah,
I mean,
nobody says this, but I think a lot of women, like in the overgiving selflessness, doing
mhm,
everything for everyone, it actually turns into toxic masculinity
it
because
is
then you're doing way too much. And then you become hard, you become aggressive, so you actually end up being a woman who's toxically masculine.
100. It's that is like textbook, and that is where you don't live in a situation where you're safe enough to thrive in your femininity because you do have to take on masculine roles. And like, yeah, it's 2025. Like you going to work or whatever, it's not that big of a deal. But if you like are in a partnership with somebody and you're doing everything, and you as the female, and like they're not in a partnership with you, and you're like not even just like the main source of income, but like you're doing literally everything. You're not in your like soft, happy, feminine like era or whatever they say about it. Like you're going to turn like it happens to a lot of like single mothers. Like when you have to be a mother and a father, how can you be this soft, feminine, like happy person? And that's like no shade to single mothers. My mom like brought us up as a single mother and she's an amazing person. It's just showing that when there's not that like counter male presence that is giving safety, security, and like the fallback or like the person that you have there for you if you need anything, you're not gonna be able to be like this like free spirited running through the field, like baby on your hip, like petting a cow vibe. You know what I mean? It's not like that. It's we live in a world where like everybody works and everybody pays taxes and everybody's doing not everybody. I mean, I see a lot of people live on one income, I guess depending on where you live, but those are people, probably downsizing things that other people aren't downsizing so that they can have those roles. And I don't think that it has to be like I think people get really caught up in like there's like a lot of like manosphere and like the red pill thing where like men are like bitch go make me a sandwich, but there is a lot of truth in our natural gender roles and everything that we have that goes along with nature, like even the festival that we're talking about. You cannot deny nature, cannot deny thousands and thousands of years of people procreating and living in these roles. And that's not to say women used to like sit around and get their fucking nails done while their men were out doing everything. Like you had a job as a woman at home to
Yeah.
raise kids, to milk the cows, to take care of your homestead. So I don't know. People, especially now, people are so fucking uptight about you can't say anything about gender. You can't say anything about gender roles. And sorry, like thousands of years of evolution has brought us to this fucked up point that makes no sense for everybody. And most people are unhappy with it. So, like,
Yeah.
not, you don't always have to look to the past to everything because some things that happened in the past are really fucked up. But like, what works, works.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing is too, like, um, so we all have feminine and masculine
Yeah.
energy and qualities, and
Mm-hmm.
even as a woman, you do need your masculinity because that gives you confidence,
Yeah.
it gives you
Be assertive.
energy. Yeah, and but there is a lot of like there has to be that harmony. There has to be that balance. So yeah, I totally get it. And this is kind of like
On the equinox. Like this is the equinox meaning balanced day and night. This is the one time, well, March 20th, that it will be equal day and night. And then from there the days grow longer.
mhm. And I think it's the perfect time to balance out your life. Like there's eclipses, there's spring, like do it now. That's why they have spring cleaning, which I think people should do literally like getting rid of things that you have, but also within yourself. Like where are some things of my baggage, that I
Mm-hmm.
need to release and get rid of and again replace with something a lot better. Like this is the perfect time. I mean, you can do it anytime.
No, but it's like it feels natural to do it during this time. It just like when the summer's coming to an end, and it feels natural to honor like the harvest season. It feels natural in the winter to like try to bring light back to the earth on the December 21st. You know what I mean? Like we, I don't, as far removed as we are from nature, we cannot get away from it. Like as far as we're on our fucking phones and we're in La La Land on fucking TikTok, but our human, like maybe not everybody, I guess too, because you and I are in touch with our spirituality, you're in touch with God, you're in touch with yourself and your intuition. So I guess there are a number of people that like walk around in like absolute apathy on their phones, but anybody with like an inkling of intuition or a tiny bit can, even subconsciously if they don't realize, feel these things, like feel the happiness of spring and the hope, or like, you know what I mean, or the need to get rid of stuff, the need to shed. And like the vernal equinox, one of the themes as well is like snakes. And what do snakes do? They shed their skin. And not to bring up snakes and St. Patrick's Day, which is on Monday, but it's just yeah.
Let's go there. Let's go there. So first, this is actually the year of the snake too.
Yes, it is.
So more of that. And then so St. Patrick's Day, the whole thing, obviously he drove the snakes out of Ireland. I want you to tell us the truth about that.
Oh, it's, you know what it is. It's the same fucking story as everywhere, literally in Europe. They either by force or by paying or by like corrupting the powers that be there at the time, forced Christianity on all these people, or Catholicism, would have, I don't know, Roman Catholicism, Irish Catholicism from the church. So basically, he was a Romano Britain um, priest or whatever. I don't know if he was a priest. When they make them into saints, I think that you had to be in some type of order. I'm not 100%
Yeah. Yeah.
going to say that, but basically he drove the snakes out of Ireland, meaning snakes always represent the pagans, or in specifically in Ireland would be the Celtic people, which is funny because they have my. This is,
Nice.
and this is a well. This is from my my nan's late grandma. She got this in Ireland and we got it. But the funny thing about this is why I'm bringing this up is, for example, they could never get rid of our symbolism, if you notice. So there is a cross here from when people like converted to Catholicism, either by force or by choice, or by bribery. And then, but the circle is the pagan symbol, and this is the sun circle.
Well, even the knots, right? The knots or
And
something.
the knots are like I can never say it, tricycle. I can't fucking say it. They represent like the past, the present, the future, life, present, afterlife. Three, which is like a very like powerful number. But anyway, back to St. Patrick. He got the snakes out of Ireland, meaning like they basically massacred pagans or like drove pagans out. And what people don't understand about this stuff, and it's just crazy to me because I grew up Catholic, so I went to Catholic school. When you start wondering, what do these things all mean? Like even when you learn about Jesus, Jesus died and then he resurrected, but we have rabbits. Once again, going back to Ostara, you can't get rid of the symbolism. So they really just adopted a lot of symbolism. So like the Celtic knot, Celtic symbolism, adopted into Catholicism. You have the snakes, the pagans, but also when you see like the circles or you see any like a clatter ring or you see like not just the Celtic knots. I don't know what they call this. I don't know if that's like Celtic braiding or whatever they call that. These are all pagan symbols, but this is a Irish Catholic blanket. So because they couldn't completely demolish these people's belief systems, they just had to adopt them, like Christmas. Like when we talked about Yule and we talked about Christmas. You're not getting rid of these things. And I think I wrote something down here about that, about St. Patrick's Day. And it basically says, this is not even just St. Patrick's Day, but this is just in 325 AD, the Emperor Constantine, on his deathbed, converted to Christianity, was a pagan his entire life. People don't know if I don't know, there's so much controversy, I can't even get into the Constantine story. But on his deathbed, and that's what really like kick-started the unification of the church throughout the world. And for example, about Easter, the Christian faith began its conversion under Emperor Constantine, gathered in the Council of, I can't pronounce it, Nicaea, and declared that the resurrection of Christ should take precedence over any pagan festival. He ordered Easter to be celebrated on the Sunday after the first full moon following the vernal equinox. And like I said, there's so much controversy surrounding Constantine. Like, well, we don't know if he was like paid off. You don't know if he like on his deathbed decided after being a lifelong pagan that he would be a Christian. It doesn't.
Well, he could have been dead, and then whoever was in charge was like, pass this through.
That's not true. No, 100%. But in that kind of just that why I wanted to read you that is that just shows like they just knew they could not get rid of these things, so they just had to either adopt them, change them, or align with them.
Mm-hmm. What's crazy is how much politics kind of made religion such a major thing in people's lives, because especially like if you think about England or whatever place that had monarchs, whatever they said was the religion of the country was the
Mhm.
religion of the country. And that's why people love America so much, because you can do whatever the hell you want. But what I think is interesting is Christianity, Catholicism, whatever, is so deeply ingrained in most people. Or even Islam, any religion really is.
Whatever major religion, like or Judaism, whatever your sect is even if you're not a fully practicing one, it is ingrained in your culture.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, it transcends like church and state are supposed to be separate, but they never really are.
Mm.
If
But
you
what's
look.
interesting too is like, so witches or pagans or
Mhm.
these spiritual kind of people with these old practices were always persecuted so much, which we could talk about for a lot of reasons.
Mhm.
But it's funny that I even sometimes see that today. Like even though there's a rise in New Age, even though it's not new,
Mhm.
I think some people still are like, oh, witches, demons, like ah. But it's kind of like we're all just people.
Well, what it is I think that like most people most people want to believe something, and then some people are just like kind of radicalized by whatever it is that maybe they take on. And I know this sounds like rude, kind of, but a lot of religion causes people to lose common sense. You know what I mean? So it's I don't believe there's anything wrong with having faith, but like if you're like in your faith, you're obsessed with like the devil, which is like some entity that's basically made up in your faith. If you look at the rest of the world, like I don't know how they could all exist at once. You know what I mean? I don't understand like and if you look at them, they all align. Like the basis of Islam, although it's some of it's very I don't understand a lot of it, but the basis is almost the same as Judaism, is almost the same as Christianity. They're all Abrahamic religions and they all celebrate very similar like festivals and whatever religious holidays, they all
Yeah.
basically like teach their sect that they're the one true this and they have the one true God. And how can it all be intersecting? How can it all exist at once? That's sometimes like, and I have no question on God existing, but people's belief systems in religion and what they learn within their religion sometimes makes me question their actual common sense. But it's like any other brainwashing or indoctrination. Like if you're in school and you're taught some absolute bullshit, you just believe it your whole life because you don't have a challenging opinion. But I think if you have faith in the, once again, the Bible, I think, or even these teachings, these religious teachings, I think that they have like moral, like a moral good standing. Some of them, they're
Yeah.
good stories. They're just like any other story. Teach you not to steal. Don't hate your neighbor. Like don't like cheat on your wife. Like don't kill somebody. You know what I mean? But I don't think that people need religion to have moral character.
Yeah, like we don't need a book
I,
to tell us it's
when
bad.
you're the devil, and it's like you just cheated on your wife, bro. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
like you said, like the witch hunt, the finger pointing, like the my religion's better than your religion. It's like none of them are because
Yeah. And they're
they're
all kind of the same thing. I think the details change just based on the culture of the area,
yeah,
really.
100%. And then when
Yeah.
you look at Judaism and Christianity, Christians or Catholics believe in the Old Testament, which is Judaism,
Yeah. But
and like
it's even funny because like I do believe in like I think sometimes though all the beliefs are the same, but the words are different, like the details. Like I believe in dark entities, like
right.
whether you want to call it a demon, the devil,
Yep,
Lucifer, or ghosts or whatever. Like I think it's
campus.
all kind of the same thing.
It
But
is.
I do believe in them though. But what I think is crazy is when people are like, I believe in angels, I believe in demons, but ghosts are fake.
And
Like,
then
what do you mean? Like, how do you believe in these like angelic beings, but you don't believe in a human soul that's kind of trapped? That doesn't make any sense.
people off, but like, are you kidding? Like, I wait. I mean, I believe in dark evil entities. I believe in good entities, but like ghosts, like that's not a fucking.
Every time. I just said this on my last show. I was like, every time,
No one's
every
calling
time.
me. Okay, it's fine. My
There you
bad.
go.
No one's calling me or anything, so I don't really understand what the fuck just happened.
I'm starting to notice whenever I do this, after about 30 minutes, that happens.
Okay, so it's not just me. It's this fucking thing.
Yeah. Mhm.
I'm like, not to piss everybody off, but and they're like, shut the fuck
Yeah.
up.
Actually, that might be on purpose.
Ghost just fucking shut my camera off.
Yeah. But
No,
what were
but
you saying?
energy can't be destroyed or created. So you're telling me that ghosts are not like that's what you're thinking's fake?
And these
I
are the same people who believe in souls. So how does a ghost not make sense? But then they'll be like, oh, well, they're not ghosts, they're demons. But like for me personally, I've had experiences with both. There's a very clear difference. Like
a
a
demon
ghost,
is an ancient entity. A
what?
demon is not was never human.
Yeah.
A ghost was human.
Yeah, exactly. And also, but you can just tell in the difference in how they interact. Like a ghost, yeah, like they could maybe hurt you or scare you or give you a feeling or knock something over, but a demon ruins your life. Like it will ruin your life. It could actually
Because
people
it's a different it's a different dimensional situation.
vibrational
Well,
difference
we're
too.
dimension, but I think that the demons and the angels or whatever they are, they're in a different dimension. That's
Yeah.
not they can enter this dimension or whatever, but like I think like if you're talking about ghosts, you're talking about this physical plane
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
their
cuz a
physical.
ghost Yeah, because that's a good point. Like a ghost basically is a person. And then a demon is something that's totally or demon is just a word, like dark entity, like whatever, it
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
be anything. It could be like just it's just an energy. It's just an entity, like a thing.
And I do think that because some people don't believe in like actual dark entities, they say, oh, well, it all stems from your mind or like you can create them, which I think is also true. Like, I
Hmm.
think that you can create that, but there is still a difference between a demon that I have that I've created, like an addiction or whatever, versus there's an actual being trying to oppress me outside of
Yeah.
myself. They're two different things.
Bro, I can see that. Like we can, like you said, like an addiction. Like you've chained yourself to something. You've like attached yourself to something. In a way, Yeah, that's why they have all like folklore about like succubuses and like like even like the sea nymphs that lead you out to sea to like kill you. You know what I mean? These things
But
like
by the
they,
way, I don't want to like go into details, but I can say for a fact, succubus, incubus, those shit, that's real. That's real. I'm
yeah,
not gonna say why I know that, but they're real.
I, listen, I believe.
Wait, which one? I think the succubus is a female and the incubus is a male,
Yeah,
or it might be vice versa.
I think no, I think you're right.
Yeah, I've had some experiences, girl, and that's why I wanted to have you as like my designated like pagan holiday
Hmm.
person because I've always been like I've always well, first of all, in my life, I've been in different religions, like different years of my life. At one point, I was
Even
actually being
you've been like cycling and different stuff.
yeah, because at one point in my childhood, I was actually being raised Buddhist. My
Hmm.
mom and I lived with like a Vietnamese family, so
Hmm.
like I did ancestor worship, and I like prayed to Buddha and like was all about that. And then as I grow older, I was like, hey, what's Hinduism all about? And then I went to Catholic school. What's Catholicism all about? And then I was even atheist because like I was like, this world is so dark.
Yeah,
There's no light.
it's a, these are like it literally happens into like nature spirituality. You go through like these phases of all these things only to realize that it's you and God.
Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't matter. The details don't matter, but I
No.
think you can discover certain truths.
Hmm.
But yeah, but then I got really into paganism because it just made sense. Like it was just nature, like okay, going with the seasons, it just made
Yep.
sense. And then I was kind of like a witch. I don't really know what to call myself anymore, but then I was like a witch, like full on, that was my thing.
Hmm.
And then I dated a witch, and I've shared the story, so I'm not gonna go over it again. But
Hmm.
when I was dating this witch, I didn't realize that they were dealing with some darkness.
Yeah,
Which
fucking dark entities and shit. Like doing shit you really shouldn't be doing unless you. And even if you do know what you're doing, you don't know what you're doing when
they're
you're.
smarter than us. Those dark things are smart. They've been here longer. They know more than us.
They're like, yeah, sure. You think I'm on your side? Like, yeah, you're gonna call on me to work for you? LOL.
Yeah, but so that story, if you want to hear more, that's episode 1. I talked about it. But basically this person was dealing with darker entities, and I kind of knew, but I didn't realize the full scope of it. And so then I had a traumatic experience with what I believe was a demon, a dark entity. It
Hmm.
could have been one of the deities that he was working with, now that I think about it. But it was something dark, evil, and it scared me to my core that for like a year I was like, I'm just Christian. Like it slammed me
I
into like
remember we're selling your tarot cards.
I was so scared because it
What's
freaked
weird?
me out.
Well, I don't know if what was going on, but like a lot of people were like denouncing like whatever new age or like that was like a thing that was like it was a very common theme. And I
Yeah.
remember like I was like seeing like even certain people that I was like, whoa, like that's getting a little crazy. Like they were like telling other people to like throw their shit out and like which is like if you're having and like not to downplay because if people are having experiences and the only way that they can correlate them is by thinking like it's the devil, like then I completely understand them being like, oh my god, like what the fuck, this is the devil and I invited the devil into my own home because I'm practicing fucking witchcraft. And and I can definitely see like the spiraling that happens within that. But a lot of the people I feel like that happened to, they end up realizing that it was like it wasn't like you said. There's no. It doesn't matter what it is. It's like you and God. It's like it doesn't matter if it's you and God and Jesus or you and God and your positive entity that you're working with. It's just people replace. Like I remember it was like I think I posted something on that and I think it said something like something about being insatiable and it will like send you into a seeking frenzy and it's like people were getting hammered with all this like new age crystals, blah blah blah, this that. That if something negative happened, then they might automatically assume it's whatever weird shit they might have been doing, and it could like the dude you're talking about. It could very well be that, or it could also be like a scapegoat for kind of what else is going on. You know what?
It was just weird because like I think it is weird that so many people were on the same
Hmm.
time. So I almost wonder though if a group of people or something like there was some type of like psychic attacks going on or
Oh,
something
I
or
think. Oh, I think there was. I think people were. Like I said, I think people were also people were home a lot. Like that was like after COVID, right after COVID, or during the end of COVID.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think people had a lot of time to think about stuff or to be online or like to be doing their weird spirituality shit maybe that they were doing. And I think people were like across the board saying different things like I think you were like weirded out by like some type of entity, weren't you?
Yeah, yeah. So that's what I was talking about with
Yeah.
that person because
That was the same timing. Okay.
that's what I mean. So I feel like there was some type of psychic attack that was like, and I wonder if it was like the powers that be, because COVID was ending. Maybe they wanted to scare us into like, stay home, like this shit is
Mhm.
going down. So, but it was so terrifying. And like, I think what happened was it triggered me back to like my default, like Catholic settings of
Yeah.
like, because it
You're
made
like
me feel safe. Yeah.
you're like, I'm scared.
Yeah, because it made me feel safe. You know what I mean? So then I
Yeah.
was like, all right, I'm doing this. But then after I like calmed down, I was like, okay, it wasn't me, it was this person. And like, it's not that all of this is bad, it's just that particular person was interacting with darker beings.
And like they're and like yeah, entities are dark, but there's nothing darker than a dark human. Humans are, and that's what I'm saying. Like if that dude had weird shit in his head or in his heart, no way gonna be a good dude. Even if there isn't some type of fucking metaphysical energy going on, it's that person's aura is so negative and so toxic that even if it isn't some third party demon, they're bad enough that they're giving off this like shitbag energy.
I do wonder, like, what exactly it was.
No, go ahead. Sorry, I said it's right for you to be in fear of that too. Like it's right that your like sensors go off and you're like, I gotta get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, because like I've already told the story, but like long story short, there he would work with like, for instance, Pan, Papa Legba, yeah, became a favorite of his.
Like you're not practicing Haitian voodoo, okay? Another problem. Okay, this is a problem. I'm just gonna say this. This is a problem. I don't think that people like you have to only connect to your ancestors, but you're connecting to entities that have absolutely nothing to do with your ancestry or your fucking culture. Are you stupid? And I don't mean like, oh, like you can see the beauty of like Ayana or you can see the beauty of, Krishna, but like I'm not Hindu. I'm not going to like pray to Krishna. Do you know what I mean? Like
Mm.
I'm not going to, and that's not a negative deity, but like I'm just saying like it just doesn't make sense what a person, and also a couple like but underworld god of voodoo, like what are you doing? What the fuck is wrong with you?
But see, the thing is, like, when he would talk about this stuff, I thought it was more like he was interested in it. You know what I mean?
Because you're non-judgmental and you're into weird stuff
Yeah.
yourself, the woo-woo shit yourself, and he was like a metalhead, so you were just like, oh, you're just kind of weird, like, you know what I mean? That's it's like when you see these like death metal people, and you're like, you're just kind of weird, like a
Yeah.
lot.
It's like talking about it makes me itchy because it was like, now that I'm older and I've studied it more, I realize the gravity of like what was going on, because we would go like into the woods a lot and stuff, and then he would start making these things in honor of like Papa Legba, and he'd be like drinking, and then I would start to feel like scared, and I would like cry, and I'd be like, "Can we please leave? Like I have a bad feeling. Like we need to go." Like I'm telling you, he was doing some hella crazy shit. Like to this day, I do clearing on myself, like cutting cords.
Fuck around and find out type shit. Like, buddy, that is not. I don't know. I think people are. In his case, especially, I think one, like I said, like if you're like a metalhead or you're into like weird metal or you're into like gruesome gore and you're into like kind of like the negative side of things, I don't think people realize how serious shit really is too. I think that people, even though they are pretending they believe in it and that's why they're doing those things, I don't think if you understood the gravity of you acting like that or doing those things or praying to certain deities or trying to contact certain fucking voodoo underworld gods, if you really understood those are trickster gods. It's like trying to make a deal with fucking Loki. Don't do it. They're like, you know what I mean? Like you think you're on their good side, they're fucking in the background just gonna fuck you up.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like, I think you can listen to metal and be a little edgy and like it's
Oh
not a big deal. But when it's like all the time, or you start to kind of dabble, it's not a joke. It's like, I don't know if you ever watched this show, Supernatural. It's like my favorite
no,
show.
I actually saw. It's not a document, it's like a show, like it's
Yeah,
act
it's like a fiction show. Yeah,
of it. My
yeah,
dad,
and so, oh yeah,
yeah,
It's like my favorite. Like I even have like their car right there. But
Mhm.
there's an episode, and this happens a lot, but this particular episode, there's these teenagers in high school, and they find this like, I don't know, Necronomicon, some type of crazy book,
Mhm.
and they were like, "Oh, if we make a deal with a demon, then they can bring us $1 million." And
Oh,
part of the ritual was they had to sacrifice someone. So they actually like kidnapped somebody to sacrifice them, and then they summon the demon, and the demon's like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you brought me this Winchester. Like you brought me this person we all want in hell." And they were like, "Yes, so do I get my reward?" And they were like, "Sure." And then they just like snap the guy's neck, you know? So it's basically how it is. Like these beings don't owe you anything.
promise you the world, like, and it's, I mean, and that's a good example even in the real world to realize like that sometimes people will use you and like have no intent of reciprocating your energy or have no intent, you know what I mean? And you're putting your all in for someone and then they're like, don't give two shits. And like as soon as they can show their character, they do. So it's like I don't know. I don't think it would be wise to be fucking around with any ancient entity. And I know like people think that's like woo woo, but it's like there's so much we don't know and can't explain. And I don't know if every ancient civilization had something that they deem as evil, like obviously evil's real, just as good as real. So it's like to think that you're more powerful than that is crazy. Or that you're able to even like you think you're gonna withstand that type of shit. Like I can't believe that. I can't believe some white dudes in there. I mean, not even just sound this, but like you're making fucking treat fucking shit for Papa Legba, dude. Like no shade, but what the fuck? Like I don't know. Like that just
No,
seems
dude, shit got scary, dude. Shit got real scary. Like I don't know, like for instance, for like a couple weeks leading up to the main event that where I saw an actual apparition, like this person was sleepwalking and speaking different languages and like being very strange. Like, yeah,
stigmata.
huh?
Like that movie Stigmata, dude. The lady's like speaking in Aramaic. Like no.
It was really freaky. Like it was more than just like normal sleepwalking. Like this was like possession, weirdness. And in the morning, like he wouldn't remember. Or even when I told him about the apparition I saw that I had to like fight away, like that was literally shook me to my core. He was like you're making a big deal out of this. So I'm like, has this happened before? But he just like never like would
Or
like
you don't even believe in it enough. Like you're the person doing these things and you don't even believe it enough when I'm like, there was an apparition. You're like, no, yeah. Because that's what makes me think it was more like performative than anything. Do you know what I mean? Not just not like
yeah,
it,
not taking it serious.
yeah, when people like say they're a witch. Like you can be a witch. It just means like it comes from like Wicca. It comes from willow bark and being able to like weave and sew your own fate vibe. But like you know what I mean? The performative shit.
Yeah,
Like
just like looking cool or whatever.
like you don't need the witch hat to be a witch type shit. Which is like I think I don't know, like do you think you're cool like summoning demons or what do you really believe in the demon?
I think it's like aesthetic.
What happened to this person now? Do we know?
Um, well, I believe that this person put some like what?
I've been well or probably not. No. You're doing stuff like that, you're not gonna be alive and well.
No,
Fucked.
definitely not. I'm convinced that this person actively sends me things. I have a feeling that this person watches me a lot and like
Evil eyes you.
yeah, I think
They've
I
been
I wouldn't be surprised if they do magic on me and stuff, so I'm constantly cleansing.
mm-hmm. And, but you are obviously are like you're gifted, so you obviously have way more power than that person. Just saying.
Thank you. Yeah, but like sometimes though it can get scary cuz like this was like and like you said I'm not sure he fully understands the full gravity of
No,
it. So it's also just like dude, like let it go.
like are you like cutting your hand open and like putting your blood over a fire and being like kill Naima? You know what I mean? Like what
Yeah, literally.
like what
Literally.
to work or not seems insane, but like to even have those type of I don't know, people practicing like black magic or whatever, like I don't like. I'm not a fucking Buddhist, but like obviously karma's real. Like you reap what you sow. So and like some people don't believe that because they'll be like, oh, then like why are like evil people rich? And it's like money has nothing to do with that. You
Yeah.
reap what you sow. Like that person could be rich, but they could have like pancreatic cancer or something. Like you know what I mean? They're you don't know what goes on in people's life, or like their son could have died. You know what I mean? People, I don't know. It's like it's a weird vibe.
Yeah, like I don't really believe in like hexing and cursing. I mean, I can understand like let's say somebody's abusing you,
Hmm.
right? And maybe like I kind of get that type of thing. But yeah, you're right. Like ultimately it comes back to you. Like it's not worth it. And then it's just be a good person, man. Be a good
Yeah,
person. And if somebody's not good, separate yourself from them.
yeah, yeah. Like if you're doing something like cut the cord, like do a cord cutting ritual. Like don't like make a voodoo doll.
Yeah, no.
You know,
It's not worth it.
that's because what happens is if you even if it doesn't work, but you're trying to infringe on somebody's free will, and
Black
like
magic.
that's all of our God-given right is free will, and whether you're going to be evil or not, and that's why people have a lot of arguments around like if God was real, why would this exist? Because people have free will. That's why.
But even so like if you're practicing like voodoo or you're doing like black magic, like it starts with you, but then that's how you attract those dark
Yeah.
entities, which then can mess your life up, mess this other person's life up, and then you end up ruining your own life, or you're like tied to this entity, or it brings more entities. So you're just magnifying this darkness. Like I've seen people in public. I was at the mall a couple like months ago, and I swear to God, Tessa, because I'm sensitive, like energetically and all that,
Hmm. You're
this
an
woman, like those like massage chairs at the mall? She was sitting in the massage chair and I saw her siphoning off people's energy. Like she was consciously like watching people and she was literally like fucking whispering and
what a
fucking.
good place to do it at the mall. Seriously.
That's why, dude, I don't like going to the mall. I don't like going in public. If I do, I'm like praying before I go in. I'm like, nope. Because there are people that are crazy doing this stuff. And I think that over time, it's not even them anymore. It's whatever they've been
Mhm.
working with, working through them.
Yeah. It is like it's hard to be like an open energetic person, like an empath, when like in public or dealing with the public. Because I have to work with the public, and I honestly like I like detest people, and it sounds horrible, but it's like after when you're around people enough, like you like I don't know, like I'm good with like some of the human race. Like you can get the fuck away from
I get you. That's
me.
one thing too, is like I've
That you
always been,
interact with so many different energies, and you're just like no. If you're
yeah.
not sensitive to it, it's not going to affect you, obviously. And if you have you're not in touch with yourself or your spirituality or your whatever, your intuition, you're not going to notice that people have a bad fucking energy. You're just going to be like,
Yeah. And like I've always been a super, super like love and light, like
mhm.
forgive, love, accept everybody as they are. But the older I get, I'm like, you know what? Love and light is telling people to go the hell away. Like love and light, it's like there's darkness in it too, but it's
Well,
not an evil darkness.
no, the love and light though, like the selfless and selfish, or like trying to like love and light is like what's love and light for you. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm not giving some asshole love and light. Give myself love and light, and you can get away from me.
Yeah.
You know, you don't need to like save everybody or change people or sometimes accepting people as they are. Yeah, you can accept them as they are, but you leave them where they are too.
Yeah. That's
Like,
a big one. That's a big one.
hey,
But anyways, Tessa, I'm about to pee my pants.
yeah,
So
from that.
I'm gonna I'm gonna let this go.
And now I'm like all revved up.
I know, I'm sorry. We'll talk after this. How about that?
No, oh no, of course. No, I mean like just from that, I'm like, what? Why would I have like three more shots of espresso? Let me calm down here.
All right, I'm gonna call you after this, but I love you so much. Thanks for being on the show. I gotta go.
Bye bye.
Bye.